Have you ever fallen asleep inside a cinema? I hope not, but with some of the films here, maybe somebody would have. Alright, now we are into February, and it is being filmed in April. There is still a lot to get through, but the saving grace is that, as a matter of fact, I'm starting to get a little bit lazy. Because here, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, there was nothing. And on Friday, I watched something very relaxing, as one should. And it was Prefab People. And not many would have heard of this. And this is a film by Bellatar. As a matter of fact, I have a Kurosawa collection. Of course, one of the films I obviously want to watch from that is Satan Tango. Which also, I like how everybody's just committed to calling it Satan Tango now. Because I suppose saying this film is called Satan's Tango is not exactly convincing people to go out there and seek it. But people are not gonna just casually watch a 7-hour-long film. But anyway, the Prefab People is like it's essentially he had the diploma film, which is a short film, and this is the same film but feature length. So the synopsis is the dysfunctional family dynamics is explored through a family of four as a critique of the communist Hungary under USSR regime. Not the most cheery watch. Bellatar's films, from what I've seen so far, because there's a few others I've seen from that, like Family Nest I've seen, The Outsider I've seen. It's kind of like depressing and dull, but that's the point. Interesting the way he analyzes his subjects and explores the mundanity of lives that can eat away at people. And how much of that can be attributed to the communist Hungary and the USSR's influence at that time, or just people on their own? Because like how much of that is in that? Because I've seen the Czechoslovakian film Pilishki, which at that time Hungary and the other two, Czech Republic and Slovakia, as they are known now, were very much neighboring countries, and Pilishki was a more cheerful film, although it still was as well an exploration of the life at that time, and it had some nice parts and some not so nice parts, but it had a more cheerful point of view until the end part. Part of it is probably because it was mainly from the perspective of the kids growing up at the time, and of course kids wouldn't be as privy to the hardships of growing up under those conditions, whereas the Prefab People and Family Nest are very much from the perspective of the grown-ups and trying to find a way to live through those circumstances. So that's like one way to look at it. Watching some of these films in conversation with each other is the fascinating point. And then for this week, that was week 6. There was only 2 films. I was very slacking, and that was kind of a running joke for throughout February and March. But look, I'm picking it up. I'm correcting this, and if anything, it makes it easier for me to backlog this. Right? Charisma. That's something I got a lot of. So another Kiyoshi Kurosawa film. So 2 Kurosawa films in like 2 weeks. That is good, bad, and average, and I'll take that. So here we have Charisma. Look, if anything, I think I enjoy Charisma more than Cure. And synopsis here is: a detective fails to save a life and has a personal crisis, leading for him to wander into a forest. There he encounters a tree called Charisma and several inhabitants that try to save or kill the tree. And what is so great about this is that with such a simple premise, it does makes it an interesting study of society at large. Well, first of all, it also looks as great as other Kiyoshi Kurosawa films, especially of that time. I love how it draws the parallels between a forest ecosystem and society without beating you over the head with the analogy. Because at the end of the day, the society is like an ecosystem of its own, and the forest is an ecosystem within which you have, of course, essentially parasites and viruses that destroy the system as a whole, ideologies, ideas. You can really paint this as broadly as you want. I think for some people it will be almost like a test of, or a reflection of who they are as a people based on what they specifically deem from this work, where it is very open to interpretation in that sense. So yeah, it's like it's a philosophical puzzle, you know, that explores the concepts of morality through an interesting lens, but also the concept of like how society works and what essentially makes it collapse as well. Yeah, this is an interesting one, but I think with any Kiyoshi Kurosawa film, you can expect to have that and just have it look very interesting. Something that I wouldn't say so much. Actually, yeah, I was about to say something negative about Akira Kurosawa again, but I'm sorry. I have to be honest. Yeah, the framing in Yojimbo is phenomenal, and I haven't watched like too much about it. It's just I know people love Ran a lot, and I do not love Ran too much. It's a little bit too static for me. But that's just me.